Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Wahaj, the leader of group number 2. So we got our book on Get Smart written by Brian Tracy, and in this book we got 10 chapters and we have 7 members of the group. So we have divided each chapter individually to everybody, and the remaining chapters, 3 members of the group have taken 2 chapters. So moving on to my chapter, to my chapter, the first chapter, which is long-term perspective versus short-term perspective. So it gives you an idea that how you can think for right now, for today, and for short-term perspective means how you are thinking for today, and long-term perspective thinking means that what are you looking towards forward. Because if you just took a short time perspective, so you will be in a disadvantage because you don't know what could happen tomorrow with you. And if you think for long term perspective, so you have an advantage. You will be having something on your back. If something happened bad with you, you go broke. So long-term perspective, short-term perspective includes intelligent, at how intelligent you are, how you are acting. Are you acting smart or stupidly? Action is everything in this, because what you are doing, does it work or does it not? How many actions you are taking, how many risks you are taking, and you also consider the consequences, that what could happen if I do this or if I do that. Sometimes you create something worse, something bad happens with you lose your self-respect, you lose your pride, you ask money for people, and that's how it works. You think ahead of the time sometimes, that what could happen if you are doing this, if you are doing that. Time perspective and income is very important, that how hard you are working in this. You also think about your future, that what could happen in the future. You look to your retirement crisis, that after retirement, would I be having enough money to save my back. You try to double your income, you work hard, you work for your future. And the most important thing is your family relationships. You have an excellent physical health, and you have a financial freedom. You have a good amount of money in your bank account. Coming on to the annual expenses, you see your bills, that how they are going, how much they are, and you work hard according to them. You take your first steps, you save money for your retirement, for your future, and for your financial freedom, and then you take a decision.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, my name is Summaya and I am one of the members of Wahaj's group 2. The topic which has been given to me is slow thinking versus fast thinking. So, you have the capacity to think more thoughts than all the molecules in the known universe. The majority of people operate in a reactive responsive mode. They have developed the habit of reacting and responding continually to what is going on around them and within them. The normal thinking process is almost instantaneous stimulus, then immediate response with no time in between. One of the best habits you can develop is to practice slowly in those areas where slow thinking is required. The two thinking styles contrasted are fast thinking versus slow thinking. With fast thinking, we process information quickly, automatically, and instinctively. We react and respond with little thought or consideration. The more important a decision can be to you in the long term, the more important it is that you slow down, call a time out, carefully consider both the facts and your opinion. Fast thinking is sometimes needed to generate the piece of jigsaw, and on the other hand, slow thinking is sometimes needed to make a sense of the whole picture. By practicing slow thinking, whenever it is required, you will find yourself doing more of the right things and fewer of the wrong things on the journey to success. Success is not an accident, failure is not an accident either. The more carefully you think and plan before taking actions, the faster you take control over your success in the future. The common conclusion of these studies into poor or sloppy thinking is the necessity of slowing down before we make a decision that can have significant positive or negative consequences in ourselves and work.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Marium, one of the member of Wahaj group. The chapter I have been given from the book Get Smart is informed thinking versus uninformed thinking. So let's talk about this. Informed thinking is dead. Before starting any work, we should search everything about the topic. Have full knowledge of what we are going to do, like its facts, consequences, advantages, time period, that how much time it will take for us to complete the task, etc. Because if you're not fully acknowledged about your whole requirements, then definitely you are going to face troubles. That's what happens in uninformed thinking. And uninformed thinking is that you are not fully prepared, have not enough knowledge, and not knowing without knowing its drawbacks, you just start doing it, so obviously you will face problems. Because the more you will know about your objective, the more your vision will be cleared. One of the best way of informed thinking is validation. That never assume anything. If you got a good idea, just take action and proceed it. And be ready for every worst situation that can happen in your way to achieve your goal. You can start by making a list of information, talk to people who have been in the same situation like yours, seek their advice, do Google search your problems, you will surely get the answers. Never stop learning and gathering information. Spend your most of the time in reading because that's what most successful people do. They spend their time in reading and collecting information that can influence the investment decision he or she makes.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Maaz and I'm one of the members of Group 2 Wahaj group. My topic from the book was goal-oriented thinking versus reaction-oriented thinking. So being goal-oriented means you are focused on reaching or completing specific tasks to achieve a planned outcome. People who are goal-oriented are driven and motivated by purposes to achieve what they thought about. A learning goal orientation refers to a tendency for individuals to the desire to develop the self by acquiring new skills, mastering new situations, and improving one's competence. This topic involves two main types of thinking. The one is divergent, in which one tries to generate a diverse assortment of possible alternative solutions, and the second, convergent, in which one tries to narrow down multiple possibilities to find a single but the best answer to a problem. While we have unique minds, our tendencies have been summed up into two recognized thinking styles. The first is idealist, or we can say the goal setters, and the second one is logical thinkers, or we can say the perfect problem solvers. According to Brian, realist thinkers are the fast-moving doers who know that reality is what their senses sight, like sound, taste, smell, and touch, tell them it is, and not that dry stuff that one finds in accounting ledgers or insipid pages of manual of operations. Goal-oriented thinking is when you switch between linear and lateral thought process. It demonstrates the thought process of creative people who are able to combine both intellectual and practical information to solve problems and execute a complex task.
Let's move on our next chapter, which is result-oriented thinking and activity-oriented thinking. Result-oriented thinking means making decisions based on outcomes rather than logic. Result-oriented people can be seen getting the job done with a fearless approach to work, making the task central to the work, understanding the big picture and the financials, knowing what the best results look like, and helping the team get to them and embracing change, creating changes to make their numbers to meet their deadlines. Result-oriented people make things happen. They know which results are important and focus on resources to achieve them. They know the tasks that need to be performed in order to meet the certain goals or to achieve a certain performance standard. And activity oriented thinking means focusing on the steps, on logic rather than outcomes. It doesn't mean that we are not considering the outcomes or objective, but the main purpose of activity oriented people is to focus on moves that what it will get us through. There are some effective ways that can help in achieving one's goal and objective, like having command in any skill or ability that will help you earn more money, manage the distractions that are coming in your way, join the 20% people like in any institute, or if we talk generally, there are 20% people who work rapidly, always focus on increasing their value, moving up and earning more and more money. The rest of 80% people are those they just work to make living and waste their time by taking extended breaks, by coming late, leave their place before time. They are not interested and dedicated to their work. Always question yourself about what you are doing. Does it worth? Overcome procrastination by following points like make a list, set priorities like do most important tasks first, work all the time you work, like if you are doing any task or any work, then completely focus on it and avoid checking your phone and social media which are distracting you. Keep everything near you which are needed for the task completion. Reward yourself by having treats that will keep you more motivated and dedicated towards your work. And you can use the salami slice and Swiss cheese technique, like doing the major task, the large task first, that will break the chain of procrastination.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Hafiz Sayyid Bilal Ahmed, one of the members of Wahaj group. The topic given to me was positive thinking versus negative thinking. It is a general opinion that we should adopt positive thinking and should avoid negative thinking. Now, we need to know that what are its benefits and how we can do that. We should know that people having positive thinking easily achieve their goals because they are empowered by peace of mind, whereas people having negative thinking are paralyzed and are always slaves of such things like fear, doubt, and uncertainty, which do not allow them to take positive and bold steps towards success. Secondly, the skill of having positive thinking can be learned as other skill, and if we focus upon learning it, we can learn being positive, which will lead us towards success. The most important point for having positive thinking is that we should take complete responsibility of our failures and success, and we shouldn't blame others for our failures and problems, and we should forgive others ourselves and forget the bitter experiences and let them go.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Rabia, the member of Group 2. We got our book Get Smart, written by Print Tracy. And my chapter is Flexible Thinking versus Rigid Thinking. In this chapter, we are discussing about three types of thinking. Number 1, flexible. Number 2, rigid. Number 3, superior. And before discussing these three types of thinking, my question is, what is thinking? It is the action of using one's mind to produce thought. It is an opinion, a judgment. Now, what is flexible thinking? It is the ability to cognitive think about something in a different way. This is often referred to one's ability to have a problem and come up with a solution, but not just one solution, several. Then look at these different solutions and select the best response. Answers have changed. For example, in 1952, Albert Einstein was teaching at university. One day he was walking back to his office with his teaching assistant, who was carrying the copies of an examination that Einstein had just given to an advanced class of physics students. The teaching assistant a bit hesitantly asked Dr. Einstein, Excuse me for asking, but isn't this the same exam that you gave to the same class of physics student last year? Dr. Einstein replied, yes, it is the same exam. The teaching assistant then asked even more hesitantly than before, but how could you give the same exam to the same students 2 years in a row? Einstein answered simply, because the answers have changed. At that time, in the world of physics, new advances, theories, and discoveries were being made continually all over the world. The answers that had been correct one year were no longer correct the following year because of new ideas and breakthrough in the field. So your answers have changed as the time passes. Think out of the box with creativeness and evaluating. Look for the loopholes and always eager to find alternatives. They react rapidly, allow room for changes and innovations. There is no shock thing as in comfort zone. They fight till end. So move toward the rigid thinking. What is rigid thinking? It is the problematic. It is a desire for predictability, displaying difficulty with unmet expectations, feeling compulsions to do certain things, and in some cases exhibiting preservations, repetitions of word phrases and gestures. This is because seeing of only one solution to a problem can lead to a problem not being solved well. It is predictable, not okay with the change, want to stay in a comfort zone and lag behind and creativity, and they dig themselves in a corner. I hope you got what is rigid thinking. So move toward the superior thinking. Now, what is superior thinking? In this type of thinking, they again do the thing in search of best, like they reorganize and restarting the company's ideas and thought. Then re-engineering and reinventing the product. They invent the product until and unless they got the best one. I hope you got all my points. Thank you.
Okay, so moving on towards the next chapter, which is creative thinking versus mechanical thinking, which gives you an idea that how like creative thinking means in imagination you are thinking that if I do this, so what will happen, and mechanical thinking will be you are performing that creative thinking, you are performing it mechanically, which includes how potentially genius you are, how good is your potential, that you can recognize things, how creative you are, and you keep your mind open, you take out the best solution from it, you got some systematic approach, and if something happens in your system, you must be having a systematic problem solving method as always, because if you don't have this, you won't be able to cope with your problem, and that problem will destroy your mechanical idea, and it will also help you to move forward towards your success. Now moving on to the next one, how if you are making something, you are doing something, and whatever by chance that product fails, so what will you do to improve it? You will think about the problem, that where is the problem coming up and how will I solve this problem. So you move, so you look into it, so you look into the matter, you look where the problem is coming and you try to solve that problem. So this is called sales improvement process. Now moving on to the next thing, you have to develop a fallback plan, that you must have a backup plan, that if I fail in this idea, what could I do? So you do something, you do solution focused thinking and problem focused thinking, that what could be the solution of a thing if this goes wrong. So you think about the solution, you unlock your creative powers, you give your 100% best, and sometimes the things also comes in attraction and distraction of the things. You attracted by many things, you distracted by many things. Like if you are doing something, there are a couple of things which distract you, like you know the mobile phones, the calls, the social media, which affect your work. So you just try to move those things away and try to focus on your work. You switch to multitasking. You are doing now 10 things at a time and you give your best. You break the barriers, you move forward, that whatever comes in your way, you just break that barrier out of the way, you work hard for that thing. Now, in the last, it comes the process of innovation. You move from best to the best. You have to be better than yourself that you were yesterday. So you have to be best from yesterday yourself. So this is how creative thinking versus mechanical thinking is.
Let's talk about our next chapter, which is entrepreneurial thinking versus corporate thinking. Entrepreneurial thinking is the ability to see things differently. It is more like a state of mind that opens your eyes to new learning opportunities and helps you grow in your role. Having entrepreneurial thinking skills and putting them to good use is not important for business owners alone, but for everyone pursuing a successful career. People with such skills stand out because they tend to think creatively, differently, and take ownership of their jobs as well as performance. Entrepreneurial thinkers put customer satisfaction on first place and always busy in improving the values of the organization. Entrepreneurial thinking helps you stay ahead of others at work. It helps you tackle the ever increasing competition and rise through ranks. Your ability to identify a problem quicker and provide solution timely is likely to put forward the best of you. It allows for more flexibility in you. It can change your attitude towards the organization as well as yourself. Through the flexibility that it allows, it enables you to adapt to the changing environment. Now moving towards the corporate thinking. Corporate thinking is almost opposite of entrepreneurial thinking. Corporate thinkers are preoccupied with doing the jobs, following the rules, and doing the minimum necessary to avoid being fired. They have lack of engagement with the organization and institute, and they spend most of their time chit-chatting with their co-workers, taking lunch and coffee breaks, and always in rush to leave.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Summaya. I got our topic from the book Get Smart. My chapter name is Poor Thinking versus Rich Thinking. What is the difference between poor and rich thinking? Many people wish, hope, and dream about how their lives would be different if they had a lot of money. They admire and envy people around them who are doing better than they are. They worry about money all the time, but they never make a firm do or die decision. They don't learn wealth creation. They don't upgrade their knowledge and skills so that they become more valuable at their work. They make excuses by saying that success is simply a matter of luck, and for their failure, they used to blame others. Because of destructive criticism in early childhood and mistakes that are made as adults, they are paralyzed by the fear of making mistakes. On the contrary, people who develop rich habits, they certainly achieve their goals. They make strategies for increasing their income and saving money. They know how to manage resources. They have major definite purpose that they think about and work on all the time. People who want to be wealthy and rich should make right decisions on right time. They keep learning all the time. The most significant quality of the rich people is that they focus and concentrate on excellent performance. In future, there have never been more opportunities to become wealthy and rich. So, by developing thinking styles of wealthy people that they practices every day,
You will soon become rich and wealthy person yourself. Okay, thank you.